Hi, I'm Toby from Cheltenham Upholstery and I'm here today with Just Fabrics to show you how to recover a footstool. The fabric we're using today is the Just Fabrics Cotswold Velvet and the colourway is Indigo. So let's get started. To start we need to take off the old fabric. I've already begun on this one, so we need to finish off stripping off this old fabric using a pair of pincers and a staple lifter. If you work our way around the whole footstool, we try to remove most of the staples, but if they're struggling to come out, you can always tap them flat, especially if any staples break, they leave a sharp bit poking out. We can just tap those. You want to try and remove any of the polyester wadding that's caught in the staples, otherwise there's a chance it might show through the new cover when you pop it on. If you don't have access to a staple lifter, you can try using a small flathead screwdriver to lift up the staples. Now the staples have all been removed, we can take off the polyester wadding, ready for a nice new layer. So here we have some 4-ounce polyester wadding, which we're going to lay over the footstool. Want to make sure it's enough to come round under the edge of the frame. The polyester wadding helps the fabric move on top of the piece and it just softens the finish and takes away the sharp edge of the footstool down here. So I'm just going to trim the polyester wadding, especially around the corners. You don't want the polyester wadding getting in the way of the legs, so you just cut it. Next we need a cloth tape measure to measure for the fabric. So we have to go right underneath the footstool, around the other side. It's always a good idea to give yourself plenty of fabric to pull on, so perhaps 2 inches underneath the edge of the frame. We'll go for 61 inches and we'll measure this way. 32 inches. So using a tailor's chalk and a ruler, we're going to mark on the face of the fabric the measurements we took from the footstool. Then we can cut the fabric along our lines. So the next thing to do is get your fabric, fold it in half, and we can just nip like this, and that gives us our centre mark, and this helps with the placement of the fabric. I'm going to turn the footstool over, and we're just going to put a pencil mark on the halfway point of each side of the footstool. Now we've marked our centres, we can flip the footstool back over. We can lay the fabric on the stool, and I'm going to line up our marks on the fabric with the marks we've drawn on the underside of the frame. So we position our cut mark with a pencil line underneath the stool. We do this all the way around on each side just to make sure the fabric's nice and square on the piece. So next we can start temporary tacking the fabric in place. A temporary tack is a staple or a upholstery tack which is only popped in about halfway, so it's easily removed. I'm just going to pop some temporary tacks, and with a staple gun, the way I do it is just to angle the gun like this so the staple can be easily removed later on. I'm going to go around the footstool. I'm going to get a feel on this side. Now we'll do the other side. I'm just going to we start in the middle and work our way outwards. Using my hand over here is going to push the fabric over to start putting a bit of tension on the fabric. And if you don't have access to a staple gun, you can use upholstery tacks and a hammer. So now we do the ends. I'm just going to sweep the fabric this way. I'm going to pop one temporary tack in this end and the same on the other end. Now we're happy with the placement of the fabric and it's temporary tacked in place. We can go back to the first side we started on. I'm just going to remove the first temporary staple in the middle. Now we can start pulling the fabric for its final fix. I'm just sweeping the fabric up from one side around and giving it a good bit of tension. Popping a few staples in. Again, we're starting from the middle and are working our way out to either side. So sweep up and a sweep this way with your hand. Hold the fabric and then tack it in place. We're going to work our way towards the leg, but we're going to stop short. When pulling fabric, it's a good idea to use as much as your hand to cover a larger area as possible. You don't really want to be pulling fabric like this, because this will give you pulls in the fabric. And now I'll do the same on the other side. Just going to do the same on the ends. Remove our temporary staple. Give it a good sweep and a pull. So we can start on the corners, pulling the fabric this way and that way, and nice and tight around the corners. I'm going to pop a temporary staple just in here. That will hold the tension and we can concentrate on the cut. So we're aiming for around this spot here. I'm going to cut across the leg and stop short of the edge. Fold it under and tack. Then we can remove our temporary up here and cut away some of the bulk of the fabric over here. That allows us to be able to turn the fabric in. Pop a staple back there, and here we can squeeze a few staples in underneath. You may not be able to staple on your footstool here, so what you could do is staple very close to the edge, just along here, and then we can cover those staples up later with some upholstery decorative nails. Now we've done this side, we can move on to this side where the pleat's going to form. I'm just going to cut along here, and that allows us to be able to remove some of this fabric. And there we form the pleat. So now we need to cut across this leg here to roughly this point. Turn this under and tack it down. remove a bit more of this. Pop a temporary through the face of the fabric, just there, and we can move on to the other corners. So now we can pop some decorative upholstery nails just along the edge of the leg here. I'm going to start right in the corner. I'm going to hammer that in halfway. That allows me to take this temporary staple out here. And we just carry on in this direction. We can then repeat, look at how many nails we've got, and repeat it on all the other corners. Now we've got all the decorative nails in place, we can then turn the footstool upside down, and we can measure for the bottom cloth to cover up the bottom. Got 19 inches there, and 46 there, so you give ourselves a little bit extra at each end as well, so we can turn under. Before we put the bottom cloth on, I'm just going to trim the excess underneath here. We can position our cloth on the footstool, plenty hanging over each side. So we fold the lining under, pop the staple in the middle, and again we're going to work from the centre and work out either side. And we move on to the other side, just putting some tension on the fabric here, starting in the middle. Working our way out. It's going to move on to the ends of the footstool, folding it under. I'm going to pop one staple in here. I'm going to move over here to cut around the leg. So if you unfold the fabric, push it back on itself. Get your scissors, I'm going to cut in there. You can cut away some of the excess inside. This gets folded back round to increase the cut a little bit. That's our finished footstool. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe below. If you're interested in what we do at Cheltenham Upholstery, you can head to our website, and you can also head to Just Fabrics to check out fabric for more inspiration.